Hey everybody, it's Kelly from My Soulful Home. Today we're going to take a tour of my summer kitchen. Come on in. So the house was built in 1886 and it needed a ton of work when we moved in. There was an older gentleman living here for about 50 years and he had done some things but really never finished anything. And the kitchen was a hardworking kitchen. There was actually a fire extinguisher attached to the wall, which I think got frequent use. And it was sort of broken up by an appliance, a giant refrigerator that came out and jutted out into the middle of the room. Behind it was kind of like the little old man pantry with like 1,000 cans of beans and his work clothes. Very sweet, but not really the kitchen of my dreams. So we gutted the kitchen and started creating the kitchen of our dreams. And so this is what we've got. We don't have an island in the kitchen. I thought it might be too heavy and would just feel a little too glumpy the way the kitchen is configured. So I went with this marble table. It's actually from Crate and Barrel, and I absolutely love it. I also have the Carrara marble on the countertops, and I used it as the backsplash. We'll talk about that as we go along. I'm going to tell you that Carrara does not stain, it etches. And I do have a blog post on that, but if anybody doesn't believe me, like my friend Anita doesn't believe me, it is true. It does not stain. Okay, trust me. When I'm setting a table, whether it's something casual or a more formal one in the dining room, I like to layer. So I'm going to bring out a couple of different plates and stack them up. Here I did something that I don't usually do. I put the napkin under one of the smaller plates. These are depression glass plates. You guys, if you're vintage lovers, you probably know about these. My mom had got me a set of these a long time ago. And I like the way the green sort of brought in the greens of the flowers. So it just sort of tucked that under there for a little whisper of color. And then I put the napkin under here. Just kind of fun. Something that looks like you put some effort into it. And it was super easy. You just take them out of the cupboard and stack them up. And as a little nod to the season, I have a little bag of starfish that I put away every fall and I bring back out every summer. And these make appearances all over my house. I don't want to have a big giant banner screaming, it's summertime, but just these little nods to the season throughout the year is really the way that I like to decorate it. It's easy and, it's you're acknowledging it without going overboard. As far as the flatware, I love using the gold. I really suggest if you like setting a pretty table, invest in a gold set. And invest is kind of a silly word because it's really inexpensive. So I got these at Target. I think you get them on Amazon as well. But isn't that fun? Just something a little unexpected. People think it's just going to be, stainless. And what I really like to do for flowers is, particularly on a smaller table, is make three small arrangements. You can move them out of the way, even if at that size they are getting in your way, but they usually don't at this level. You can see right over them, obviously, and if you had to put other foodstuffs and whatnot on the table, they would fit. So these are little gold mercury glass votive holders that I tucked in some flowers, and then I just put in some lemons for a little pop of color in between. And three, always want to be working in threes or some sort of odd number, but three is really kind of a magic number in decorating. So three little starfish on either end. So simple. Now, I am partial to these buffalo check placemats and napkins because we actually have them in my store. It's bespokedecor.store. If you ever want to check it out, they are there. So that's my summer table. Really simple. You can do this with stuff that you have in your cupboards as well. Just pull it out, play around a little bit, decide on your color palette. See, I have a limited color palette. It's kind of the grays and creams and whites and little pop of yellow and green. There's no way we could leave this kitchen without me telling you about my stove. I love to talk about my stove, but everybody asks about it. So, yes, this was here, and it was left by the gentleman who lived here before us. He kept a fire extinguisher attached to the wall next to it. We had it restored. It went away for quite some time and came back in a safer condition and super, super clean, and it works beautifully. So the stove was built in 1924, excuse me, by the Reliable Stove Company. And the gentleman who lived here before actually bought it from the first owner. So I guess we're the third owner of the stove since 1924. And he had from the original owner all the paperwork, like the owner's manual and correspondence that she had with the CEO of the Reliable Stove Company because she had some questions about it after she bought it. And she had typed up these letters on onion skin paper. It's absolutely fabulous. So I am so happy to have been gifted and blessed with this stove. He wasn't going to take it with him, and I certainly wasn't going to let it leave this house. It is really easy to operate, even though it looks like you're probably flying a plane. You just flip this on and press it, and boom, the gas comes up, and you are ready to go. I want to give you guys a few tips. If you listen to my podcast, you know we're all about tips. So, what I did here is I wanted Carrara marble, and I did all my research. I was very happy with it. I also wanted it on the backsplash. And the last thing I wanted to do was have people cutting the marble to put outlets all along the backsplash. So, and I know there's some sort of electrical code that's involved there, but you can get around it. And this is my tip. Under here is what's called a plug mold, and it's actually a long strip of electric outlets, and you can just plug in your toaster, your blender, whatever you have up here, so you don't have to see them here. It's fantastic. And right in front of it, I have my under counter lighting. So it works so beautifully. I get to have this clean line of the marble. And whether you're doing marble or you're doing tile or you even just have sheetrock back there, why do you want it all broken up with all those outlets? I mean, most people aren't going to even use all those outlets. So that's a tip for you. And while we're over here, I like to also use things that are pretty for practical storage. So in here I have the Cascade pods. In here, the matches for candles at dinner. In here, the olive oil and sometimes a bottle of wine that's in use goes in here. Obviously, we're out. So this chair, well, first of all, these are my pals, right? This is my little shadow, and this is my little security guard. This is Emmett, and this is Edith, and oh gosh, they bring such joy, don't they? Oh, I love my dogs. But um, back to the kitchen. This chair, Edith, make yourself at home. This chair was one of the best things that I did in the kitchen. I love the idea of an unkitchen, so it's something that's a little unexpected. You treat it more like it's a regular room rather than being some utilitarian space. So adding this chair really changed the way we use the room. Obviously, we're using it for cooking and food preparation and things like that. My girls are doing their homework and whatnot at the table once in a while, and I sit there and write my blog, but people come and go from the kitchen. This way, when I'm cooking, somebody sits here and they chat with me and the dogs relax. I used to have a lot of farmhouse pieces here, I sort of vignettes and whatnot and a bird cage, but it was just for show. This way, adding the chair, it has made it so nice, hasn't it, Emmett? Yeah. And we're enjoying it. The chair, I got this one at Target, but I know they also have it on Amazon. And this is a fabulous chair. And I think it was like $250 or something like that, $210. Crazy great price for this chair. And it's held up, and everybody thinks it's really comfortable. My security guard is now stepping on some fabulous pillows that I love. I have it in my shop. I love black ticking. It's classic, but it also has a little bit of a farmhouse feel. And if you can tell, my look is sort of a farmhouse glam, a little touches of gold here and there, and a little French and a little bling mixed in with the farmhouse. So if you can add something to your kitchen, no matter what size it is, if you can add something that sort of makes it more of a room, like a mirror. I have a mirror in this room as well. A chair, even if it's a little stool, something like that, that just sort of makes it a little bit more comfortable, makes it a place that you want to stay in a little bit longer. I think that's a great way to go. So think of it as sort of the unkitchen. So when we looked at the house first, this area of the kitchen was sort of blocked off or divided by a giant Sub-Zero refrigerator, like maybe the first one they ever made. It was gigantic and it was so wide. And it was so it acted almost like a wall. And then there was some sort of little curtain or something. And then there was this sad little door in the back that when you opened it, actually sort of hung off on like one hinge. Like you guys couldn't believe. I mean, we're going to show you some pictures of what it looked like before. It's really hard to imagine. So obviously we wanted to open up the space. We opened up the little tiny doorway, and the giant refrigerator left. And what I didn't want, even in my opened area, a big expanse of refrigerator. So I didn't know that these existed until I started shopping for my appliances. But this is my freezer and this is my refrigerator. So it doesn't have to be together and be this big giant, whether you do stainless or you do the panels. Um, I wanted to do the fully integrated, but yet it still seemed like a lot of wood. So anyway, so now they're separate. You can see, oh, there's the freezer, and then the other one over there is the fridge. Now I'm pulling on this handle. Now I want to point these out. Okay, so I needed two handles, right? Because I decided I want a fridge and freezer separately, or if you had, the two doors side by side, you'd need two handles as well. Do you know that appliance handles are so expensive? Like $250, $300. I thought that is crazy. It's a handle. So I was trying to find big cabinet handles that might work, but this is a big appliance and it's tall, and you really needed something that was substantial. One day I'm walking in the aisles at Home Depot and safety handles for like disabled bathrooms. This was 11.99, and it's an oil rub bronze. I mean, come on, right? It doesn't look like it's a safety handle. It does not look like it's for a disabled handicapped bathroom, right? Looks pretty great. So that's another great tip. So if you're in the market for some sort of appliance handle, there's probably a lot of different, this is Moen, I believe. I'm sure there's a lot of companies that make these. They certainly make them in chrome, and I wanted the oil rub bronze. So consider that. It was a big savings. So I spent about, maybe, what's the math on that? Like $25 with tax, as opposed to it would have at least been $400 or $500. And where there wasn't really savings in the windows and doors that we put in here. I knew when we did this kitchen that I wanted these metal factory casement style doors. I was pinning them all over the place on Pinterest. I just said I have to somehow incorporate this into the house. And I love how sort of they make it, it's a Victorian home, and so they give it a little edge that it doesn't have with the gingerbread and all that in the front. So I love the whole idea of them. They're super expensive no matter which way you go, and they pretty much all have to be custom. So I went through several large companies that do them, and then I found a local guy who's a metal worker. And there was a lot of steps involved because he had to measure it all, and we had to get each pane of glass cut and fit by his, friend, the glass guy, but so much less expensive than if I had tried to have it done by one of these bigger companies that do these metal doors. So I absolutely love them, and I think that there's just like a signature of the house and the look. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tour. I have a lot more things to tell you about my kitchen. Like we didn't even go into the farmhouse sink or the unlacquered brass, and I did this really cool thing with the air vent return that I want to talk to you about. So we'll do some more tours maybe for the fall, and so you can see some of those things. So I hope you enjoyed today and have a wonderful summer, and we'll see you soon.